What is going on, guys? It is Trifecta J here, and we have reached the halfway point of the season once again, and that means it's time for another recruiting update. Last week we did end up losing to Arizona State in very disappointing fashion for our second loss on the year, and this week we're taking on Cal on the road, followed up by a game against now undefeated Troy, who is ranked number 18 in the nation. But we're going to go ahead and get right into the recruiting. We only have 9 players graduating as a whole, but there are a couple players I wouldn't mind cutting that walked on last year and just aren't that great of players. Mainly a defensive end is one that comes to my mind. And right now we already have 3 commits. We sit with a number 42 overall class with a huge commit right now, and if you haven't seen yet, you're about to see him. You can see his name. It is Tony Gaines. He is a 5-star prospect, number 5 in the entire nation overall. He's a 6'3" athlete, and we're going to go ahead and get into a breakdown of the roster and what our future looks like. So we have Luke Falk for 1 more year, followed up by Peyton Bender and a couple of redshirt freshmen. But we do have Tony Gaines. He is a guy that I think is just straight out more talented than Bender, and he also fits more what I want in my quarterback. He's 6'3", he's got a strong arm, he's fast, not the most accurate, so he probably won't play next year immediately. He'll probably get that red shirt, but he can make you miss on the run, so he just looks to be an incredibly talented player. So we have 5 players at running back who are active, and they're all very talented. No one is a senior in this entire group, but we do have some juniors, so we are looking to maybe get one more guy who will redshirt, and that way we're just not too shallow once Wicks and Morrow both graduate. Corey Harris, an absolute stud. I've said this before, one of the fastest players I've ever seen, who would be a freshman, 96 speed, incredible make you miss ability. And then James Moss, a 4-star athlete, 242 pounds, and he's a running back. At that size, he's not a fullback who's maybe misplaced. He's got some good speed, not very fast, but he's strong, he can break tackles, and he can truck very well. Once again, another position that we have a lot of depth at, only 1 senior, but we do have 3 juniors, so this is going to feature a lot of turnover in the next couple of years, and we've got to get some more size. Right now, Richie Wiley and Robert Lundy are the only guys above 6 foot. And the guy we're targeting, a 4-star JUCO receiver. He would come in as a sophomore at 6'3". He is the number 1 overall JUCO player in the entire class. He has amazing speed, he can jump really high, and he's a great route runner, but a lot of the other things need a little bit of work for him to really be that impact player and that star that we would want him to be. At tight end, we still have 3 underclassmen, so we're not really looking for anyone. And at offensive line, we're very deep and have a very nice group. We do have a left guard, center, and right tackle graduating this year, but I like the players who will be stepping into that role. And right now, we just need maybe a little bit more depth. I'm pretty much targeting one guy, and that is John Taylor. He's 6'3", 285, out of Arizona, a 3-star prospect, the number 38 overall guard, but he is incredibly talented. He's okay in pass protection, good in run protection, but is a nice athlete. He's strong, and I'm really only looking to bring in like 1 offensive lineman, as we do have some nice depth. Another guy I'm looking at is David Conley at 6'8", very similar in terms of height to Marcus Mann, a tackle we recruited last year, and he's also very athletic, but does not have that stamina that I really want to really go with what I want to do with this offense. Now look at this defensive line. Daniel Ekuwale, he will be back for another year. No graduating players along the defensive ends. We do have 1 inside, but we have some nice depth, but we really lack those impact players who can make that big splash and make the big plays when we need them to. But we just have some nice depth and some guys who will be developmental prospects. But the 2 guys we have on our board, these both to me scream impact player. A guy out of Washington, Sidney Phillips, 6'5", 245, nice speed, pretty strong, has some good pass rushing moves, and just an incredibly solid prospect all around. But we're in a very tight battle with Washington. Now a JUCO guy who would come in as a junior, only 6 foot, but don't let that fool you. He's incredibly talented. He has incredible speed, 78 speed, similar to Sidney Phillips, not quite as strong, but maybe just a little bit better of a prospect overall, has some nice pass rushing moves, and a little bit better in the run. Now on the inside of the defensive line, Robert Barber is graduating this year. He's pretty much been the anchor of our defense all 3 years, and it would be sad to see him go, but we do have 3 underclassmen along with a junior, and right now I'm only looking to bring in 1 defensive lineman, and I feel like the defensive ends will be a little bit more impactful for this team. So now moving to the linebackers, we are very deep at this position with only one player graduating as a whole throughout our entire linebacking core. That is Paris Taylor, and only 2 upperclassmen on the entire roster, with a lot of nice redshirting freshmen and a couple of sophomores who I think could be very good moving forward. A just very deep position, but we are targeting one guy at outside linebacker, basically only one guy. If we don't get him, it's not a big deal, but it's hard to turn down this talent. He's undersized, only 5'11", under 200 pounds, but he is fast. He's got great coverage ratings. He can lay the wood, and he's not terrible as maybe a little bit of a situational pass rusher and in the run game. Moving to corner, we're now a veteran group here with one guy graduating and 3 juniors on the roster. The biggest thing here is we've just got to get some players and just some bodies on this roster to fill in the holes that we've been left in the next 2 years. And we have some nice players that we're looking at. Kendall Hearn, a 4-star prospect, 5'10" out of Florida, so not the biggest guy, but he's got the speed. He can hit pretty hard, and his coverage ratings are really good. But we are in a losing battle right now against Florida Atlantic, and I believe it is Georgia Tech. Now a guy that we're in a little bit more of a lead for, 6 foot, so a little bit bigger than Hearn, but not quite as fast. He's out of Tennessee, and like I said, not quite as fast, not quite of a tackler that Hearn is, but he is a little bit better in coverage, and he looks to be an incredibly talented guy, and he was a gem prospect. Now a guy out of Washington who I'm looking at, sort of a backup plan for Hearn. He's 6'2", so he's the tallest out of the group, and we're in a nice battle with Oregon, but we do have a very solid lead. He's got some nice speed. He can hit, not the greatest tackler, and he's just got some very developmental style ratings for coverage, but very talented nonetheless. Now moving to the back end of the secondary, it's safety. We have 2 guys graduating at free safety, and I have a little bit of questions about the people who will be replacing them, but I do think Suleiman Hamid and Daryl King can do a nice job. Darius Lamore will be a senior next year, and we're only targeting one guy, Justin Haley, 6 foot, another guy out of Washington, trying to build a little bit more of a pipeline in Washington. He is incredibly fast, especially for a strong safety. A good tackler, but the coverage ratings are very worrisome. Maybe more of an in-the-box safety, and just a guy who needs to develop his coverage ratings. Now Frank Colbert, as we do have a junior punter, he will come in redshirt next year. Pretty much ran away with this battle. He's got a strong leg, has got to work on the accuracy, but I think he could be a very solid punter and maybe an All-American by his senior year. Just like I said, a great punter, and Jordan Escalo is our punter right now. He is very talented, but we need someone who will replace him after next year when he is a senior. So a look at our full recruiting board: James Moss, Corey Harris, Andrew Johnson, John Taylor, Sidney Phillips, John Jones, Kendall Hearn. You've seen all of them, all incredibly talented guys. And this is also a look at some of the backup plans I have on the board. Some maybe not the higher rated guys, but guys, if certain players don't work out, that we'll target, and none of them are bad players, as I was really able to target those high level guys, only graduating 9 players. Also, a big theme of the recruiting this year was looking for those gem prospects. We found a couple, but that was a look at our recruiting board and sort of the future of this dynasty and where it is headed. And I'm very excited about the future. I think we have nice players on the roster and a nice recruiting class. If we can get all these players that I want, that would be an incredible recruiting class. That might be top whatever with only around 10 prospects, 9 or 10 prospects. But I hope you did enjoy this look inside of the future of this dynasty. If you did, please leave a like down below and comment your thoughts on this recruiting class so far. Who's your favorite prospect you saw today? I will see you for a game against Cal in week 8 of the season, 'cause I'm out.